What if everything you believed about saving money turned out to be an elaborate trap? Imagine this while everyone around you is busy scrimping and saving. You might be setting yourself up for a financial downfall so epic that even your wildest nightmares couldn't predict it. I'm not talking about the everyday missteps that most of us make, no. I'm talking about the colossal, jaw-dropping mistakes I made in my 20s. Mistakes so absurd that they not only drained my bank account, but also taught me lessons I wish someone had screamed at me before I hit rock bottom. I'm going to take you on a journey through the 10 financial mistakes that I made when I was young, mistakes that, if avoided, could keep you from experiencing the same gut-wrenching regret and endless financial hangovers. And I promise you, every single one of these errors comes with a story that is as shocking as it is eye-opening. So buckle up, because what you're about to hear is raw, unfiltered, and brutally honest. These aren't just funny anecdotes, these are hard-won lessons that reshape the way I approach money forever. Let's start at the very beginning, a time when I truly believed that being smart about money meant doing everything right by every rule. At 22, I was infatuated with the idea of self-improvement. I spent countless hours and every spare dollar on self-help books and seminars. I thought that if I just read between the lines and absorb every nugget of advice, I'd magically become a financial genius overnight. Spoiler alert, that wasn't the case. I ended up with a small library of books gathering dust and a bank account that was crying out for mercy. From the very start, I made one critical mistake, trusting the promises of institutions without questioning them. And so, mistake number 1 is born, trusting the bank's no-fee promises. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I walked into my local bank branch, head held high, convinced that I'd found the perfect place to nurture my fledgling savings. The salesperson, with a smile that felt more rehearsed than sincere, assured me that there wouldn't be any fees hidden in their no-fee checking account. I thought I had struck gold, a magical account where I could watch my balance grow without constantly losing a bit of it to mysterious charges. But a month later, I received a statement that felt like a punch to the gut. Fees for checking my balance, maintenance fees, even fees for transferring funds online. It was as if I had unwittingly bought a ticket to a tragic, never-ending show of financial despair, where every glance at my account cost me dearly. This was my first lesson: never take a bank's word at face value. Dig deep, ask questions, and read every single fine print clause you can get your hands on. And if you thought that was it, hold onto your seat, because mistake number 2 will make you laugh, cry, and then cringe all at once: financing gadgets on endless installments. Picture this: I had just gotten my hands on the latest AirPods, all shiny and sleek, a symbol of tech-savvy success. Instead of paying upfront, I signed up for a 12-month installment plan. The excitement of possessing the coolest new gadget quickly faded when I realized that missing one payment would mean being locked into debt forever. I even lost one pair at the gym, a moment of absolute clumsiness standstill. The payments continued as if I had an unbreakable pact with the tech gods. Every month, a portion of my paycheck vanished into the ether, destined to keep my AirPods alive well beyond their useful life. In hindsight, I can see that the real price I paid was not just the dollars and cents, but the constant reminder that sometimes the pursuit of trendy tech can be a one-way ticket to financial servitude. After the shock of a leaky bank account and the relentless drain of monthly gadget bills, I began to notice patterns, crazy decisions born of desperation and hope. I started to sacrifice experiences and meaningful moments in pursuit of a balanced budget. It all led to mistake number 3, sacrificing real life for digital promises. There was a period when I deliberately skipped every free family dinner and social gathering. I told myself that every minute spent chatting over a home-cooked meal was a minute wasted, a minute that should instead be allocated to reading articles about how to make $10,000 a week. Overnight, I spent hours watching YouTube tutorials, taking notes on systems that promised to turn my life around instantly. My taste for connection turned into an addiction to digital gurus, and rather than savoring the warmth of a home-cooked meal or the laughter shared with family, I was immersed in a pixelated world of get-rich-quick schemes and empty dreams. The irony? I ended up alone, questioning whether the money I was saving by skipping these moments was worth the isolation that followed. That was a hard pill to swallow, the realization that not all investments can be measured in dollars. Some are made in memories and relationships. Let me pause for a moment to revisit the mindset that allowed these mistakes to proliferate. I was chasing a version of success that was defined by appearances, a carefully curated Instagram feed, and a portfolio that looked impressive to outsiders, but was built on shaky, misguided foundations. And that brings us to mistake number 4, investing in cryptocurrency without understanding a dime. Cryptocurrency, to me, was like the wild, uncharted frontier of modern finance. I saw headlines screaming about people becoming overnight millionaires, and I thought, that could be me. Without doing proper research, I dove headfirst into a coin with a catchy, almost whimsical name, something that sounded like it had sprung straight out of a sci-fi novel. I imagined riding the wave of digital fortune while sipping artisan coffee. But what I got was a steep learning curve and a wallet that evaporated faster than morning mist. Under the glaring sun, my investment crumbled, not because I was outsmarted by the market, but because I didn't take the time to understand what I was getting into. It was a harsh lesson. In the world of digital money, intuition is not a substitute for diligence. Always do your homework. As if riding the crypto roller coaster wasn't enough, I was also battling an inner urge to appear wealthy, and urge so strong that it led me to make decisions that were spectacularly foolish. This brings me to mistake number 5, trying to look rich when you're really broke. There's something almost poetic about the lengths people go to in order to mask their financial insecurities. I invested in designer sneakers and flashy watches, not because I loved them, but because I needed to convince the world and myself that I was on the path to greatness. I remember shopping at a high-end boutique, convincing myself that every expensive purchase was an investment in my future. The result? A closet full of counterfeit confidence and a fridge that echoed emptiness. My appearance was a carefully constructed facade, one that left me in a constant state of internal conflict. Every Instagram post, every carefully staged photo, was a desperate cry for validation that masked the financial void I was trying to ignore. And trust me, that void got deeper with every passing day.
As if masquerading as a successful adult wasn't enough of a challenge, I fell deeper into the rabbit hole of modern financial advice. Mistake number 6, falling for every Instagram financial guru. There was a time when every social media feed was flooded with so-called experts who promised that wealth was just one inspirational quote away. I remember one particular guru, a man with the perfect smile, stylish attire, and a ring like that made him look like a modern-day oracle. He preached about manifesting abundance and offered the secret formula to financial freedom, packaged in a pricey online course. I was gullible enough to sell my old bike, my only means of transportation, to invest in his program, and what did I get in return? A series of vague lessons, the first being visualize success. I quickly learned that no amount of visualization can pay for the mounting bills or fill an empty bank account. That mistake was more than just a financial setback, it was a blow to my self-confidence, a reminder that not every smile on social media is backed by genuine wisdom. But even as I wallowed in the consequences of gullibility, there was one mistake that lurked in the shadows, growing more insidious by the day, ignoring the silent killer: my credit card. This is mistake number 7. Credit cards, in theory, are supposed to be powerful tools that give you the freedom to manage your cash flow responsibly. In practice, however, they can turn into debt monsters if you're not careful. I treated mine like an extension of my wallet, as safety net that would catch me if I stumbled. But I never considered that every swipe was a step closer to an abyss. Before I knew it, the balance on my card had ballooned to an absurd amount. I found myself staring at a bill that seemed to laugh in my face, a number so large it might as well have been a cruel prank. That feeling of helplessness, of being trapped by something that was supposed to offer flexibility, is one that I wouldn't wish on anyone. It taught me that the convenience of credit comes at a cost, and that ignoring Your spending habits can have consequences that reverberate well into the future. Of course, for someone who was trying desperately to regain some sense of control, I turned to what I thought was the holy grail of financial management: budgeting spreadsheets. And here comes mistake number 8, creating 100 budget spreadsheets and not following any of them. I dedicated hours, weeks, even months to crafting what I believed would be the most detailed, foolproof budgeting plan. I built spreadsheets with intricate graphs, colorful charts, and projections that promised to map out every cent I would earn or spend. For a brief moment, I felt invincible, like I had finally cracked the code to financial success. But life, in its unpredictable wisdom, had other plans. Despite all the planning and hypothetical calculations, reality kept derailing my budget. Unforeseen expenses, sudden emergencies, and even my own lack of discipline turned those beautifully organized sheets into nothing more than digital scrap paper. I had the plans, the ideas, the structure, but not the willpower or consistency to see them through. That disconnect between planning and execution is a trap many fall into, and it's one that can lead to frustration and ultimately failure. And then there was the issue of relationships, complex, messy, and often intertwined with our financial choices. In my desperate bid to hold on to every perceived opportunity, I made the mistake of lending money to friends without setting proper boundaries. This is mistake number 9, lending money to friends who vanish when you need them most. I once lent a substantial amount of cash to someone I trusted, believing that our bond was strong and that they'd return the favor in kind. But as days turned into weeks, my calls went unanswered, my messages unreturned. Eventually, I realized that I had been taken for granted, a lesson in trust that stung more deeply than any overdraft fee. It's a bitter pill to swallow, realizing that not everyone in your circle has your best interests at heart. Financial naivety can sometimes blur the lines between generosity and exploitation, and I learned that true friendships should never come with strings attached or unpaid debts lurking in the background. Finally, all of these mistakes, in their own twisted ways, fed into my most persistent belief: the idea that success was something that only happened to other people. And that brings me to mistake number 10, believing that financial success is pure luck reserved for the chosen few. For a long time, I looked at people who seemed to effortlessly rake in wealth, thinking, how do they do it? What secret formula do they have that I lack? I convinced myself that no matter how hard I tried, I was destined to be left behind. This mindset was self-fulfilling. While I spent my days worrying about every dollar and doubting every investment, others were moving ahead with confidence. I neglected to see that real success comes not from luck, but from hard work, resilience, and above all, the willingness to learn from your mistakes. In the end, the rich kids I envied were simply those who had learned to combine discipline with smart strategies and who weren't paralyzed by the fear of failure. I stand on the other side of these experiences. I want to impress upon you that these mistakes, as painful as they were, are not irrevocable damnations. They are lessons, the kind that, once learned, become the bedrock of a brighter, more secure financial future. Each misstep taught me something invaluable: to question everything, to never settle for empty promises, and to embrace a mindset of continuous learning and improvement. Imagine if you could dodge these pitfalls. Picture yourself avoiding that sneaky bank fee by scrutinizing every detail, or steering clear of gadget financing traps by paying upfront, even if it means waiting a little longer for your dream purchase. Envision investing wisely in ventures you understand, rather than chasing trends blindly. Think about the power of living authentically, rather than trying to impress others with a facade that ultimately leaves you feeling hollow. And most importantly, reflect on the impact of investing in yourself: the education, the experiences, and the connections that truly enrich your life, both emotionally and financially. I won't sugarcoat it. The road to financial freedom is littered with potholes, detours, and the occasional pothole that seems more like a sinkhole. But here's the truth: every mistake I made was a stepping stone, a necessary detour in a journey that's far more enlightening than any smooth, unchallenged path ever could be. The scars, the bruises, even the embarrassing moments, all of them have shaped me into the person I am today. And if sharing these experiences can spare you even a fraction of the heartache and frustration I endured, then it's a price worth paying. So, what's the final takeaway? First, educate yourself relentlessly. There is no substitute for knowledge when it comes to money. Read widely, ask questions, and be skeptical of promises that seem too good to be true. Second, embrace failure. As an essential part of growth, every error is an opportunity to recalibrate, to learn, and to evolve. Third, cultivate a healthy respect for money. Understand that it's a tool that can empower you or enslave you, depending on how you handle it. Before we wrap up this rather intense financial journey, I want to leave you with a final thought. I know it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of advice out there, the endless number of gurus on social media, and the constant barrage of conflicting messages about what it means to be financially successful. But remember, authenticity beats illusion every single time. Success isn't measured by the number of likes on an Instagram post or the flashiness of your wardrobe. It's measured by the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you have control over your finances, that you're living intentionally, and that you're prepared for the unexpected. So if any of these mistakes resonated with you even in the tiniest way, I urge you to take a moment and reflect on your own financial journey. Look for patterns, learn from my errors, and most importantly, take action. The choice is yours. You can either remain stuck in the same cycle of uncertainty and regret, or you can commit to making smarter decisions today that will pave the way for a more secure future tomorrow. If you're ready to break free from financial mediocrity, take the lessons I've shared and apply them to your life. Don't wait until you're facing a crisis to realize that you've been walking straight into the traps. Start now. Review your bank statements, question every fee, avoid impulse gadget purchases, and invest in what truly matters. And remember, every dollar you save and every informed decision you make is one step closer to the financial freedom you deserve. Thank you for joining me on this raw, unfiltered exploration of my 20s, a decade filled with mistakes, lessons, and the hard truth that financial success isn't a secret reserved for the lucky few. It's a journey, a constant learning process that requires vigilance, sacrifice, and the humility to admit when you're wrong. Before you head off to take action, I have one last piece of advice. Keep questioning, keep learning, and never let the fear of failure stop you from trying again. Because at the end of the day, the best investment you can ever make is in your own growth. And if you found value in these lessons, imagine what other insights and practical tips you could gain by taking this journey further. So here's my challenge to you. Take one mistake from this list, learn from it, and then share your experience with someone who might be making the same error. Let's create a ripple effect of awareness and change a movement where we all commit to being smarter, more resilient, and more intentional with our money. And if you want to join me on this quest for financial empowerment, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the community of people who refuse to let past mistakes dictate their future. Remember, the road to financial success is not paved with quick fixes or empty promises. It's built on the foundation of hard-earned wisdom, honest self-reflection, and the courage to start over every single day. Embrace your journey, honor your lessons, and know that with every step forward, you're rewriting your own story. Thank you for listening, for absorbing these sometimes painful but always important truths. This is your moment to decide that from now on, you're going to take control of your financial destiny and refuse to be defined by the mistakes of the past. Let today be the day you break free from financial fear and step confidently into a future where every decision is a step toward true freedom. And now, as you let these words sink in, ask yourself, are you ready to stop repeating the same mistakes? Are you ready to invest in yourself, to reclaim control, and to build a financial future that's as brilliant as your dreams? The choice is yours and the journey begins now. There you have it, 10 brutally honest mistakes from my 20s, laid out in vivid detail, each with its own lesson and a call to action for anyone willing to learn. I hope you walk away from this not just with a sense of what not to do, but with the spark of inspiration to chart a course that's uniquely your own course, free from the pitfalls of financial naivety and built on a foundation of true empowerment. Now go out there, question everything, and transform your life one smart financial decision at a time.